Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another adventure in French countryside with a tropical twist. Today, we're going out into the garden to see how it's going towards the end of September. Now we're getting into the cooler temperatures at night, and I've already started my overwintering for this year. Let's take a look at all the plants that are still in the garden and see how they're growing, and which ones I've already transplanted, and they're in the greenhouse. Some of them are upstairs in the house, and a few of them are potted up and ready to be put somewhere. We'll see where they're going to go. So here you could see the cannas in front are still growing. They're all in bloom. I let them go to seed so I could gather the seeds and plant them next year because they really do seed very easily and on their own and also with my help. So I have a mini Pretoria cannas here. And they've grown. This is their second season, and I will be leaving them in the ground this year because last year I dug about half of them up and they didn't overwinter well because I wasn't really good at it, dry storing them and then putting them back in the ground a little bit early. Well, these ones outside grew a lot faster and now they look marvelous, and they still are shooting out buds, growing buds, so they will still flower until we have our first frost, which might knock them down if the frost is strong enough. And when they go down, that's going to be it. I'll cut them back and then I will mulch them. And this year I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to put down some earth, then I'm going to put down some blue pellets for the snails, and then I'm going to lay down a really heavy layer of straw, which I did last year, but I had a lot of slugs in this area, so I'm going to try to be preventative and proactive this year and see how that goes. Right now, I only find about one snail per day, maybe one in the evening, maybe one in the morning, but that's it. So I think right now, if the eggs are resting in the earth, ready to pop open at any given time, at least I'll be prepared for that. So I did plant quite a few different types of cannas, and the one that I really appreciate is the Stuttgart. Now, some of them got a little bit crispy in the sun, but some of the leaves are coming in and they're just beautiful. I do see down at the base that there are new shoots growing up, so I'm really happy that I'll get new plants. I haven't decided whether I'm going to dig these out and protect them inside the greenhouse, or if I will leave them in the ground and cover them with mulch and then cover them up when it rains so not too much water gets into the base and the crown of the plant. Because even if it is a hardy canna, they can still die off from rot. Too much rain, cold, dampness is not a good thing for these lovelies. This one has been one of my favorite flowers this year of all the cannas that I have. It just started flowering a few days ago. It's yellow with red speckles. It's really pretty, and it does look like there's quite a few flower buds that are getting ready to pop open. So hopefully they will before the frost hits, because these ones are tender and I will definitely have to dig them up maybe before the frost, or I can let them die back with the frost, and that will signal to the plant it's time to go to sleep for the winter. Another one that didn't disappoint is this one. This is the Charlotte or Wren Charlotte, and it is also a tender canna. So I will be digging this cluster of cannas up to overwinter either inside as a plant, or I might just have to clean them off and dry store them, which I might end up doing because I have a lot of plants so far in the greenhouse. Moving on, I have a very beautiful purple Amistad salvia. And this one, sorry, I was thinking of the name, my Amistad salvia. I have quite a few of these varieties of salvia. I have this purple one, I have the black and blue. And now that I'm looking at this, I wonder if this one is the black and blue and not the Amistad, because I don't have the two next to each other to compare them. But it is a lovely one, and the purple Amistad does get taller, and this one stays a bit bushier. So this one might be the black and blue, in fact. And moving on, I have my lovely Insete Morale ventricosum. This one I got from our local garden center for about 30 euros. It was a lot smaller and the trunk was a lot smaller for sure. And now the trunk is enormous. And I'm going to have to dig this one up because it definitely is a tender plant and it will not survive in our cold winters, which not only go below 0 to around -6, but they also stay cold for a really long time, very wet and damp. These banana plants are not meant for that. So this one will be dug up and most likely dry stored over the winter. Next to it, I do have canna Durbans, which are the same color, almost the same exact leaf, a little bit different leaf structure, but it looks like it could be an extension of this red Insete. So it's flowering right now. It does have a flower bud that was, yes, that one that has 2 flower buds and one that already flowered. But my other ones are still small and have no flower buds, so I will definitely be digging them up and storing them over the winter. Another variety of tender cannas. But aren't they lovely? I mean, just look at those beautiful colors. The red and green, and in the sunlight, it's just absolutely gorgeous. Next year, I'm thinking of relocating my Insete to put somewhere to make it really stand out and see how big it can get. Maybe in the front, somewhere where it will be the centerpiece of the garden. I can't wait. This giant miscanthus that I bought at our Vide Grenier in Courtenay about a month ago. I bought it from a woman who had a lot of it, and actually I got 3 stems for about 8 euros, but the bulk of it is down at the base, and I'm hoping that more will grow out from the base because I did look on the internet and it says that it can get to be about 1.5 meters wide. But if you count the base all the way down there and then just follow the stems all the way up, it is a truly amazing plant, and it has to be one of my new favorite grasses. And I have a lot of different types of ornamental grasses in my garden, and I just love ornamental grasses. This tropical area holds 2 of my natural water basins, and they are just for drinking for animals that stop by. One of them is deep enough, and it's actually home to a few green frogs. They're really cute when they stick their head up, and last night when I was walking in the garden, I shined the flashlight on it and saw its 2 big eyes sticking through all the little water plants, and it was really cute. It didn't do anything, just watched me. But normally when I walk by during the day, they plop back in the water. That's kind of funny. Right here is a tropical section where I planted a very small palm, the Trachycarpus fortunae, and then I planted quite a few pink china colocaceas. The reason I did this right here is because I know that I could leave them out this winter without doing much, just putting some mulch over the top, letting them die back, and then they'll grow back because they are very hardy as a type of colocasia. The other ones, on the contrary, I have to dig up and bring in, dry store them, or leave a leaf or two on and keep them somewhere warm. I haven't decided yet, but we'll have to see. If we're looking right straight down there, that's where I had a banana plant that is not hardy. It was a Cavendish variety, and it's the kind that produces bananas that we all love to eat, the real sweet ones. And we'll have to see if keeping it inside the house overwintering, hopefully it won't get too leggy and it'll be ready to start back up in the next growing season. I'm not sure if it will flower or not. It's just an experiment to see what works and what doesn't. It's not really hardy in this zone. In fact, it will die at the frost. So I had to dig it up a little bit before, so I give it a head start inside where it's a bit warmer with our nighttime temperatures getting pretty cold. Down to 7 tonight, maybe in the single digits over the next week. It's been 10 at night, and that's a good sign. Everything is still growing beautifully, but it's starting to get colder as we get closer to October. So in my water feature, I have a fountain that has a lot of slime on it, so it doesn't really work anymore. It's a solar one. And then I have some prell or dragon tail, and I also have some papyrus. It looks like there's some creeping jenny coming out of the basin as well, but those are some things that I probably added without thinking, and the creeping jenny can live in the water. Moving along, I have a really beautiful phormium. It's a green and yellow 10X, and it's really big now. I would say it's more than a meter tall and maybe about a meter wide. It started out really small, so it's really nice to see how much it grew. I covered it a little bit over the crown in the winter when it got snowy and freezing, but it really is pretty hardy. I just wanted to make sure it would be okay when it got really cold here. Moving down, here's the basin. You can see where it's grown over with a lot of tiny little plants, and I forget what they're called, but they are something that has come back from last year. And they're underneath all of these little plants and the papyrus that has grown really tall. And then I have some acronis, which can also go in the water. Papyrus is really tall and very green. I'm going to be overwintering this also, but I might be able to leave it outside in a bucket of water and then cover it with some fleece if it freezes. It will be against the wall, so it will be getting some protection. It won't be getting any rain on it, and it will be protected from the wind. So that's what I did last year. It worked. Why not change a good thing that works, right? As you can see, there are some bare spots in this section. It was really filled in nicely over the course of the summer, but what happened is I started taking things out to overwinter them. I did take out some, what did I take out? Crocasmias, because there were a lot right there. And I did take out a few other plants to put into pots, and now they're in the greenhouse. The heuchera is looking really fabulous. It's such a pretty color. I love it. I have quite a few of them, although some of them are hidden underneath all the grasses and the phlox and other wild plants that are growing that I did not plant. Here we have a canna pretoria that I guess I forgot to take out last year, and it grew back this year, to my surprise, and it is growing so beautifully, and it does have really lovely variegated leaves. This is one of my favorites for the leaf. I planted several bruneras, and this one is so lovely. The leaves are like a silvery white, and the texture is really cool. What I did notice, however, was that when I looked down this way on the ground, there's some brunera popping up right down there, which is pretty far from the main plant and right against the post there. So that was interesting to me. I have several ferns buried in the canopy. I also have quite a few Fatsia japonicas. I have green fingers. I have, which is polycarpa. I have the variegated one, spider, Fatsia. And then I have the regular ones, which are the Fatsia japonicas. I probably have about 5 or 6 of them in there, and I'm hoping they'll get really tall eventually, because this area is pretty shaded, especially when the banana plant grows a lot taller. Now, it's important to say that I have 2 Antarctica Dicksonias, and they are right there, which is one, and another one you cannot see because it's buried under the Persicaria, and the Begonia grandis, which is actually in flower now, and it actually did get really big compared to just 2 leaves from the spring when it started sprouting. A lot of these plants I bought as bare roots, especially the begonia, the ferns, and I can't remember what else. Oh, the bruneras were also dry roots. And it's really cool to see how much growth they put on in starting around May, because I did not plant them all outside in March and April. I did wait a little bit till it got warmer. So looking here, and the sun's starting to peek out a little bit, you could see my lovely Musa Baju, which is 3 years old now. The first year didn't do much because I really didn't know how to care for it, so I didn't water it and feed it properly. The second year, I really protected it well and kept the height, and now it's just humongous. So this year, I'm going to cut back the leaves, probably right where the roller's coming in. And when I cut off all the leaves and protect it again in its lovely chicken wire cage with the post around it, I'll wrap some fleece around that and then fill it with straw so it will be well protected over the winter. In addition, I'm either going to build some kind of roof to go over this whole area, because I do have some wooden posts, so I might be able to attach something temporarily and build a structure, or I might be able to just put a hat over it to keep it from getting wet in the center. That's what I did last year. I threw something over it that was impermeable, and then it didn't really get wet. Now, I see a crab spider coming towards me. It's very small, but I wonder why it's coming, and you probably can't see it. But I think it's going to attach itself to my camera, so I'm going to click off. This lovely red tiger really surprised me this year. I bought about 8 banana plants online, and they were around 40 to 50 centimeters in height and really thin in terms of their stem. I wasn't sure that they were going to make it over the winter because I had overwintered them inside and they weren't doing great. But I planted this one in the ground as soon as the weather got warmer, around late April, beginning of May, and now look at her. There are 3 pups around the side, and the pups are almost as big as the main stem. It's really tall, and the leaves are absolutely stunning. I'm really happy to say that my newest raised border really filled in nicely in the past few months. I put a lot of different things in here that I found around the garden, plus I added a few banana plants, and I did add 2 castor plants. Then I planted some canna seeds and also put in some morning glory and persicaria, wild persicaria. There's a pink china down there. And I do see a ginger sprouting. There's a lot of things sprouting that I didn't realize would grow so well in the last month, since we are coming out of the season where everything flourishes and coming into the colder months. Now I do have cannas growing along the border, and it was my plan to actually have a row of cannas all along the sides. But then I dug up some crocasmias and some other bulbs and put them there too. So I guess I'll have a mix. But look how lush and green everything is. And I have to say, as a big secret to save money, what did I do? I went around the garden and I started digging up ajuga, persicaria, some of the grasses that I had, some of the caryxes, and then I even transplanted some little wildflowers that are the local plants that I find in the garden all over the place, in the grass and in the borders. I lifted them up and gently planted them, watering them in and watching them grow to their glorious beauty. I planted some spreading daisies and also 3 or 4 different periwinkle also as a ground cover, 2 whites and 2 purples. So we'll see how those go coming up in the spring. But there is such a variety of different ground cover plants that grow wild in my yard. I thought it was truly amazing to see how much greenery is and how much covered up that brown dirt that was once just a short 2 months ago. I can't wait to see what it's going to look like in the next growing season when the banana plants get really tall and the cannas get really tall, and I will have to replant these lovely purple ricinus because look how beautiful and look how purple the leaves are. Huge leaves, beautiful purple, and I can't wait to recult or cultivate all the seeds that all of my ricinus plants will provide this year. Fingers crossed. Then I won't have to buy seed packets online that are very expensive. 6 seeds for 12 euros, and only 3 of them germinated out of the 6. And here, if anyone is interested, I'm doing jungle composting because our friend over at George's Jungle Garden in the UK talked about composting all of your big leaves and things like that, all of the debris that you don't want to put in your composter. You just put it out in the borders or on the ground, and you're nourishing the ground for the next season. I really love this idea, and I really wanted to do this right in this little spot here where I walk through, and then that way I'll be making my own perfect garden soil for my garden plants, my tropical beauties, and it's all coming from them. Their leaves, banana, canna, crocasmias, lilies, and even some of the bamboo that I had to cut back. It's all in there, and it's going to be composting through the next few seasons. And to end our garden tour, we have the 3 ricinus bushes that are kind of like small trees, actually, because the stems are so thick that they do resemble trees at this point. The leaves are just gorgeous. This is the New Zealand purple variety, and you can see how big these leaves are. If I end up not having a tetrapanax in my garden because I don't have enough shade or place to put it, these will be my first choice. They're extremely beautiful, and we count them as annuals here because it does get really cold and they won't survive the frost. But look how gorgeous these red seed pods are. They almost look like lychees or rambutans, don't they? But one thing to know, they are very poisonous, so you do not want to eat the seeds. They look like beans, but don't be fooled. So that's going to wrap it up for today, everyone. Thanks for joining. I hope you enjoyed our tour through the garden after the rain. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my day. Maybe I'll have a pumpkin spice latte. We'll just have to see. As a little extra to show you when I'm overwintering indoors, I have my caladiums that I dug up from outside. I dug them up a little bit early, but I figured, well, I might as well get them living in the house because it's going to get cooler at night anyway. So I have about 9 different varieties. And then I had some indoor ferns that I had put outdoors and they did really well. And then moving along to the window corner, although it's a window that's pretty high up, it does get some light in here. I have my Bergmansia, which had 2 different bloom sessions this summer. I have the Cavendish that I dug up. Hopefully it won't get too leggy, but it does have a roller coming out, so that's pretty cool. I have the papaya plants that I dug up. I don't know, we'll have to see. It's like a science experiment. That one's an indoor plant, the crazy cane. No, not crazy cane, the lazy cane. And then my bird of paradise that has the white flower. It's a giant one. And I don't know how to pronounce it, Stringnizella. I'll have to check that out. And then the papayas that were the biggest ones, you can see that the thickness of their stem, it's not too bad, but you know, I had to pull off the dead leaves that didn't make the transplantation. And so these are the plants that are just kind of hanging out here upstairs. The temperature should be around 19 or 20 Celsius during the winter. Then in the upstairs bathroom, on the other hand, I have a lot more. I have my bougainvilleas. I have the other bird of paradise. I have, what else do I have? I don't know the name of these plants, but I bought them as house plants and they were really tiny and they grew really nicely outside. I see a caladium down there. And then the bougainvillea, I don't like the way the leaves are looking right now because they were looking a lot healthier outside. So maybe just the fact that they were brought in. And then there's my tropical hibiscus, which still has flowering buds on them. They're still coming out. And then these were the ones that were in the water. My blue Hawaii and the mojito colocassias, and they are actually in water, but I did fill it up with some really well draining sand and gravel. And then down below I have my colocassia that was outside. This is the Escalanta. The leaves didn't look good, so I cut them back. They were filled with spots. And then my money tree, but that one's always been inside. It's growing nicely over the past 3 years. So these are my indoor plants. Yep. Okay, I'm sure I'm going to add a few more. We'll have to see. Things that are still outside hanging out for a while are the gingers. I have a lot of gingers, a lot of different ones that did not bloom this year, but I imagine next year they will. There's a few cannas down below that I had planted as seeds, and then my rose banana volantuna. So these are all outside until I have to bring them into the greenhouse. I still have my thalia water canna and the acornis, and then the papyrus are still hanging out. And going over to the greenhouse, let's step inside. It's kind of steamy in here. I did open the trap. So the temperature in here right now is 15.3 degrees. That's pretty good. I just moved my mango plant out here. I have albutilon, I have my avocado, I have the loquats in here. I cut down I transplanted, I didn't cut it down, I cut back the geranium. I couldn't think of the name. And then one of the more tender phormiums I put down in here. That's the rainbow, or the jester phormium. And then my lemongrass that I grew from one stalk, or one stem. It grew really nicely. I have 2 more to bring in. I have some colocaceas. I have the alocaceas, the 2 that I have, the odora and the Buddha's palm, or Buddha's hand, not the palm. And then I have some sad-looking Colocasia metallica. I have an avocado tree that actually looks pretty good that I dug out of the compost. I have some scented geraniums that are in water. And then I have my sago palm, Ficus revoluta. And then I have my lemon tree, Sicilian lemon, which does have some lemons on it. And then I have my Anseti, the green one. And then the Mexican lime tree, which this one will have to be brought in because, as you can see, it's yellowing now for the fall. It doesn't look super great, but it doesn't like cold temperatures. That one's a little bit iffy for the greenhouse. And then I have my other Abutilon, which is doing really well. I have 2 yuzu lemon trees, which can withstand colder temperatures for sure outdoors, but they're small, so I'll wait. And then my Meyer lemon, which you can see the lemons are small, but they are turning yellow. So might happen while we get some lemons. There are 17 lemons on here. Anyways, I'm going to put it in the sun. And that's it for the greenhouse. You could see that we have the bubble wrap. And the bubble wrap is going to be cut and placed all around the inside windows. And then there's going to be a space on the trapdoor that we cut a space for it, and then for the door a space where we can get in, like a slit. And this will be the overwintering for these more tender plants. And that condensation that you see there, that's on the inside. So we have put something for the humidity. Hopefully it'll work, but it is pretty humid. That's a little box that sucks out the humidity. And then I have my Lotus Dorma Laziocarpa banana that I took out because I do want it to flower next year. I didn't want it to start from the beginning. And that's about it. It looks like we're kind of ready now. You can see the tropical terrace does not look like it did in the middle of the summer. Actually put a cushion down so I could sit outside yesterday because the weather is nice. This week it's supposed to be really nice. So here we go. Tropical terrace is also going to be overwintering with the plants because I don't know how many days we'll be able to sit outside and enjoy this lovely spot. But anyways, as you can see, the skies are blue, wispy clouds, and it looks like it's going to be a beautiful day ahead. So I'm looking forward to that. Ciao for now.